as part of the bespoke suiting process here at Fazar, I'd like to give you a little bit of a history of the bespoke suiting process. So what happens here is with a bespoke suit, you'll find you'll have three different lapels: a shoulder lapel, a notch lapel, and a peak lapel. This particular suit has a notch lapel. Notice the kink that we have up here. We also have two regular pockets, a top pocket, and some element detail. So at Fazar, what we like to do is we work with natural fiber, which means that we're working with cotton, wool, wooden buttons, and leather. Ideally, we're trying to create a high fashion bespoke suit that has quality materials. So once again, to take you through the history of a bespoke suit and how we actually go about, well, what the modern suit is like today, is basically if we look at the ticket pocket, which is a fundamental aspect of the revolution of the bespoke suit. Basically, in the 1930s, just like the way we go to the movies today, what would happen is back in the day, people would go to the opera. So now the opera tickets were very long and narrow, and what would happen is if you put it into your inside pocket, it was kind of a schlep because it'd stick out the top here. So people would actually slip it into the ticket pocket, would sit comfortably here. You'd go to the door, tip your hat, give it to the doorman, and he'd take you to your seat. It's also called the tiki pocket, simply because in the 1930s, with the introduction of the steam engine, trains were the main mode of transportation. So people would had all these little tikis jingling around in their pocket. It was quite an annoyance. So at the time, they spoke to the tailors and they said to them, look, can we have like a little easily accessible pocket here that we could actually put the little pennies and things in? So they would go to the train conductor, stick their hands in their pockets, give him a little tiki, and they were set to go. So those are aspects that, although we don't utilize today, it's part of the modern suit. And I find it great to be able to bring traditional history and introduce it into the bespoke modern day suit for the modern man. So I think that's very important to be able to know and educate yourself on the textiles, the trims, the cuts, and the history, because then it just makes you an interesting person. So based on our conversations about your suiting and the way forward, the idea was that we were going to go with something very regal, very vintage, because that is your theme. So the inspiration behind your bespoke suit was obviously something that was elegant. We want to create a Prince Charming. That's what we want to do for the day. So there's two aspects that I have here. The first one is a shawl lapel. Notice how the lapel goes all the way around the neckline and drapes beautifully to the center here. So what we want to actually create is, I love this two-tone aspect. I think once again, you got some beautiful textured material. It has a nice balance between the textures and just the solid material with the royal blues that we're going to work with. Now, I know you said to me that you really like the U waistcoats, the U-shaped waistcoats. I dig them too, and I really like that they're a double-breasted jacket. So the one that's featured here, you'll notice, is a U-shaped, and this one is actually a V-neck, and this isn't a double-breasted. But I think with the jacket that we're designing for you, it has to have another secondary point of interest. And when you take off your jacket, I want people to go, oh my God, that looks so great. It really complements the jacket you have. So what's really nice about this is, if we went for the U-shape and a double-breasted jacket, you've also got your lining at the back. And if we can find something that's really interesting, like a really nice lining, I think that's going to cause people to go, wow, especially when you turn around, you're going to be meeting and greeting people and moving around the room. And I think as part of that, having to select a nice lining would be phenomenal. That's going to work very nicely for you. So we're going to look at how we can actually introduce applique, and having to use the applique on your hands, and not too much of it, because I think if you're going to use too much of it, we're going to go more into the Bollywood side of things, and we want to keep it Western modern, and we want to utilize that. So just aspects of it that will complement the suit, I think will be very cool. Then if we move on to the next page. Now, pleats is a favorite of mine. I think it looks, pleats are something that is really traditional, but I love incorporating it into my suits. I think it really looks, as opposed to a flat design, when you're turning around, you have all these aesthetics, and also it provides functionality as well. So if you have a wide back, or if you feel like, hey, you know what, I'm feeling a bit claustrophobic in my suit after using it for such a long time, what's really nice about it is that when you sit up and you sort of flex your back, it actually opens up and gives you another inch or two where you can actually feel relaxed. And then when it closes again, it's sort of this aesthetic appeal that you have, which I think looks really great. And it's something I try to add onto all my suits, whether it's for aesthetic or just functionality or both. Another thing with the suit is we want to go with subtle elements. So I love the fact that on this particular pocket, we've got the little threads that create those little shapes, the triangular shapes on there. When you're speaking to someone who knows about suits, they'll tell you that it's all about the subtle details when creating a suit. It's not about the obvious stuff.